Next presentation is a very interesting joint work from Romi and Yuri Klebanov. If I pronounce your name wrong, please forgive me. And they are from a very different backgrounds, like design and also engineering. So let's start this presentation.
Hello, I am Romi Mikulinsky, the head of the Masters of Design program in Bezalel Academy, Jerusalem, and I will talk to you today about a project we worked on for the last year or so with a team of designers, technologists from the IIS at U Tokyo. Here with me is Yuri Klebanov. He is a researcher, a design researcher at the DLX, the Design Lab at the University of Tokyo, Institute of Industrial Science, and together we will present a collaborative project entitled Project Ripple. So, as design expands and reaches many different realms, it is no longer just beautiful or functional objects, but systems, feelings, and also relationships. This project actually evolves around trust. Trust is a multi-layered concept with many acute meanings when it comes to introducing new technologies. For example, understanding how humans will interact with complex vehicle systems as AVs as they are introduced to the cities is one way to understand how designers' involvement in their everyday lives becomes critical. And as designers and technologists, we believe that design and design methodologies can prepare us for the functional, social, and psychological aspects of autonomous vehicles' entrance into our everyday lives. So this project is aimed at showing how design tools can assist in calibrating the adequate amount of trust needed for a safe and positive experience, and possibly for a new approach to interaction between humans and machines. Trust stems from cognitive, emotional, and behavioral dimensions, and this project began in Tokyo about 18 months ago, where a team of designers and design researchers from Bezalel Academy Jerusalem have traveled to Tokyo and worked on a week-long hackathon or workshop in the labs of the University of Tokyo. And their challenge was to envision the future of transportation. Very early on, the team realized that the transition into autonomy and into autonomous vehicles in our roads will force many conditions and many new forms of communication. The goals the team set for itself for this process was to challenge the existing paradigms with human-centered approach in mind. The transition to autonomous vehicles not only means, it means one basic thing, a road with driverless cars. We started with the obvious, examining the role of the driver and the possible outcomes which might come from his or her absence. So the driver is not just a navigator. He or she plays a very crucial part in interacting with the riders, pedestrians, and other people who share the road with him or her. Not only that, by mapping the driver's functions and meaning in the bus, we can learn a lot about what might be missing in their absence. We've learned that the driver's role is much more than bringing the vehicle from point A to point B. It's an integral part of the whole riding experience. Then we move to mapping the different interactions, the main interactions the driver encounters during his or her ride. The driver is a mediator between the passengers and what happens outside the vehicle. So in other words, what we lost or what will be lost in the transition into driverless vehicles on a road. We identified 4 main points that affect the trust of the passengers: a sense of familiarity, anticipating the vehicle's behavior, and also a sense of authority and safety. Our mission was to conceptualize a new form of interaction and communication which will be effective, human-centered, and universal. And in fact, to humanize technology, make it more human-centered and more nuanced. In this slide, you see several examples of contemporary trends when it comes to humanizing technology. They are mostly based on virtual avatars or on humanoids, a literal communication that is projected on the vehicle or the machine, or an anthropomorphic approach, which tries to humanize the machine in an illustrative way. In our project, we sought to create a different experience as opposed to the existing approaches. We imagined a scenario in the near future where solitary passengers enter a driverless vehicle with no driver and no other passengers. How can we humanize the way the driverless vehicle interacts with its passengers? How will she know that the AV acknowledges her presence? How can we create a sense of trust with a public vehicle that has no driver? We actually aim to use the vehicle itself, its surfaces, interiors, to communicate with the passengers. For further discussion and elaboration about our prototyping methodologies and design research, I now hand the spotlight to Yuri Klebanov. Thank you.
Thank you, Romi. So I would like to tell you about the interactions and the prototypes we made during this project. As Romi just mentioned, we wanted to create interactions which are as natural and as pleasant as possible to make the passengers feel more comfortable and reduce any uncanny experiences. We wanted to use naturalistic approach of structures and materials. For example, we were very much inspired by the ripple, motion, and shape. Well, to address the 4 points which we recognized are affecting the sense of trust, we thought it is important to provide constant feedback and information and maintain communication with the passengers throughout the entire journey. So we divided the passenger's journey into 3 phases, or as we, the designers, like to call them, scenarios. Each scenario focused on a different part of the journey: onboarding, riding, and alighting. We designed an interface for each one of these scenarios. For the first scenario, we imagined a passenger will get a greeting from the bus as soon as he boards. This is to show the bus has acknowledged his presence with a physical and visual feedback. This interface could also warn the passenger that the bus is about to start moving, stop, or perform any other unexpected motion. In the next scenario, during the ride itself, we thought the passengers could get more detailed, personalized information about the journey. We imagined the interface could appear on surfaces that the passengers usually touch, such as poles and rings. For the third scenario, we imagined a trail which confirms the bus is still aware of the passenger presence and position until the moment he actually leaves the bus, to allow safe of boarding. So here you can see several early mock-ups and prototypes which we created to test and visualize our ideas to make them more tangible and easy to understand and communicate. Here are a few more examples. We then decided to focus on the bus floor and develop an interactive prototype which we can use to really test with actual users. So first we mapped the types of interactions we wanted to focus on, dividing them into 3 groups corresponding to the 3 scenarios. First, the bus intentions, showing what the bus is about to do. 2, a personalized ride information, and 3, ambient background information. For the intention scenario, we use natural ripples. We animated them in different ways to communicate different intentions. When the passenger onboards the bus, the ripple motion can acknowledge the bus is aware of his presence. Textual gestures can remind the passengers to pay. When the bus is about to start moving, the ripple can move up, and when the bus is about to stop, the ripples can shake and shrink. And maybe in times like we have these days, overlapping ripples can remind people about keeping social distance. For the information scenario, we created a more informative visualization that can provide detailed and personalized information about the ride. The passenger can see how many stops remain until the final destination, what is the weather there, and how much will it cost. The passenger can also see the current position and any expected delays along the way, as well as the reasons for these delays. When there is a delay, time estimation will be presented, and if the delay is significant, the passenger will be presented with suggestions for alternative routes or maybe nearby places where they can spend this time, such as coffee shops, for example. For the ambient scenario, we designed an interface which could show less important background information. As a first test, we thought about showing the weather, but in the future we can use this for maybe providing safety information such as watch your step, don't slip, or please move down the aisle, and so on. So we had the designs, which is great, but in order to get a better understanding, we need to test this with real people and let others experience this and learn from their reactions, feedbacks, and thoughts. For that reason, we built an actual prototype. we wanted to have something we can test as soon as possible. So instead of trying to make it work in a real bus, we decided to make a small bus capsule in our lab. We thought about different ways we could prototype this, ranging from VR to scaled models. So here are some more pictures from the process, and here is our latest prototype. We also tested various sensors and methods to detect passengers' position and movement, such as heat sensors, RGB cameras, and LiDAR sensors. So here you can see the latest version of our scenario interfaces implemented in the physical prototype. Our next steps will be to invite real users to test those prototypes and interact with them. And we are very curious about the feedback which we will get. We would also like to test these in Japan and Israel and see how people from different countries respond to them. In a later stage, we hope we will be able to implement and test this in a real bus. So I would like to thank everybody who took part in this project so far. If you would like to join this or other projects, feel free to find more information on our website, future-mobility.design. And thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much for the very nice and interesting presentation. I think there will be some questions from the audience, and I also see the author with us. So please, just okay. So we have one from Yuri. So just go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. It's an amazing presentation. I really like how you visualize the content. I do have a question about the privacy. So if you use this interactive floor in this bus, I could imagine that maybe the people stand next to me could see also some information from my side. I'm a little bit worrying about the privacy question. Have you considered something like this?
Yeah, Romi, can I take it?
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, so definitely I think that's why in the early ideas we were, you saw, so the concept was showing the more private information and the more, so when on a poll or something which is visible only to you. For this experiment, again, in the end we decided to focus on the floor for simplicity, but that's definitely something we should pay attention to, and I guess not everybody would like everyone else to see where is he going. Yeah, but for this experiment, for the first experiment, we will focus on one passenger, and hopefully in the future, once more passengers involved, we definitely need to take privacy into concern and think where we present the more private information on which interface.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. So I saw a comment from Philip. So he asked if it is possible to share the presentation and the video. Yeah, I think it's already there on the website. And we have several questions. So let's continue with Yang Li. So just go ahead.
Okay, thanks for the amazing design, and I think it inspires me a lot. And I have several questions. The first one is, I know you will do the evaluation in the future. I'm not sure if you consider the destructive of the interface to the participants, especially when they onboarding the track, onboarding the bus. Because it's the first time for them to see this amazing design. Is this destructive for them? And the second question is, when they stand on the bus, I think maybe because the bus is moving and there's acceleration and also deceleration, and I'm not sure if they can see the small text and also the small symbols on the floor clearly. So those are my questions. Thanks.
Romi, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for your questions. So as you mentioned, we are only on the first stage. I'm trying to figure out how this is interacting. We didn't want to use an application, a cell phone application. We wanted to use the floor, the bus itself as a vehicle. And also, we're not sure yet how it is going to interact with more than one passenger in the bus. But we do have in mind the Navia bus that we're going to try and fit the floor to, and we'll find out all these questions in the next month. Yuri, would you like to add something?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, these are very, very valid and important points. I guess this is, so in design, the way designers work, usually we figure things out throughout so it's like, it's a process, right? We try things and we see how we work and we try to respond as we go very often. So I think some of these things we will discover as we test this thing and many more unexpected things. But yeah, for us, it's very exciting to actually find those unexpected interactions, how people will, maybe they will get very confused and we realize it's like the wrong way to use. Maybe they will love it. And yeah, I'm very curious how people will respond to that.
Okay, so because of the time limit, maybe we just squeeze one short question from Chen Peng.
Thank you. It's a really short question. So thanks again, Romi and Yuri, for the very fabulous design. So my question is quite related to Yang's question just now. So it's not really a question, just a comment maybe. So as Romi said, you want to use the floor, but would you consider to use maybe the augmented reality to combine the display of the information, showing to the participant or to the user? Because when I look at this really lovely design, I was thinking it will hurt my neck a lot. So if I always look down, or if I have a lot of other users together, although you haven't considered this yet, I know. So I was thinking maybe augmented reality or something showing on the horizontal side might be possible. So yeah, that's my not question, comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So
thanks a lot.
So Yuri, you want to add something?
No, just thank you. Yeah, very good comments. I think we should definitely take all these points in account when we start experimenting.
Okay, so I would like to thank you for the presenters and also the questions. Now let's move to the last presentation for today.